Hi, welcome to the next session in our series, Inclusion 101 for Administrators. Today, we're going to be talking about making progress and getting everyone on board. My name is Johari Sykes-Ratliff.
And I'm Kerry Cormier.
And this session is being brought to you by the Learning Resource Center Network, which is a New Jersey Department of Education Office of Special Education project. In the network, we support educators, families, and leaders in ways that you would have access to the supports that are listed, services, as well as professional development. Here are our 4 locations located throughout the state. And again, this session is brought to you by the LRC-South, specifically located within Rowan University's College of Education. Our agenda for this session is we are going to view inclusive practices video and then engage in reflective processing. We'll ask you to examine your role in embracing and encouraging inclusion within your school, and then explore the various ways in which inclusion can benefit both your students and your teachers. Norms, which are consistently the same throughout all NJDOE LRC sessions, are that we will use strengths-based language and demonstrated growth mindset. We're going to encourage you to engage in a solutions-oriented discussion with us and have an open mind. Reflect on what's shared and seek clarification and support when needed. And then lastly, stay focused on the topic. Actively listen to one another and ensure that all voices are heard. Today's goals and objectives are that you would recognize your role in creating an environment that's grounded in inclusive practices, identify hindrances to full implementation of inclusion in your school and your district, and then identify actionable ways in which you can combat these hindrances. Okay, so we're going to roll right into this by asking you to reflect on inclusive practices in 2 different ways. What are some of the hindrances or barriers that are in place that prohibit inclusive practices from being embedded and or embraced within your school or your district? If you're a district administrator, we would like for you to look at this at the district level, just in general. Our last video session, we talked about the importance of looking at your vision, your mission, what is your purpose statement. So that always sets the tone. And so once you've looked at that, you may identify some gaps that may contribute to some of those hindrances from occurring district-wide. But if you're a school administrator, we would encourage you to look specifically at your school. We do recognize that the school mission values and the things that you do, you can and cannot, are oftentimes dictated at the district level, and or there's a level of influence, of course. And so you could look with a broader scope at also the district level, what some of those barriers may be, but try to keep the focus on your school in terms of what is something actionable that you can do within the scope of your work to create positive change. Also, the other reflective question would be, what are some of the direct benefits of inclusion in the classroom? And so we have screenshotted here a video for you from the Iris Center. They have an enormous video collection in which there are, I mean, I can't even count, can't even give you a number. How many supports they have on the site, videos that you can check out that really talk about how to support children with disabilities, how to ensure their inclusion within the classroom setting, the general education classroom setting. And so we both urge you, Kerry and I, to check out the Iris Center's video collection. And we also have on our reference page a link that will take you directly there. So as you're viewing whichever video, or even if you want to bring in a team of folks and start having these conversations, these are the 2 things that we would like to kick off that thought process.
Right.
Within your role, whether it be a district administrator or school administrator, there are 10 things that we're encouraging you to explore and embrace. The first one is reviewing aspects of inclusive education. Number 2 is stating your support I have to say this, right? You're in a position of authority. And even if you weren't, it's important not to be subject to the bystander effect and know that things aren't right or things could be better and not say anything. So you want to be an advocate and state your support for inclusive practices. Number 3, assign special education staff to grade level or department teams. It's important to have their voices also heard, and it also lends to creating a diverse space where everyone is able to interact with one another and know what's going on in the various classroom settings and how to help support each other for the benefit of the children. Number 4, planning. Planning time is critical for teaching teams. You want to make sure that you're allowing and encouraging that teachers be innovative and creative in how they plan with each other, ensuring access to the general curriculum. Number 6, communicating the use of accommodations is something that should be expected. And then convening meetings to review individual student needs. Again, it goes right back to that like advocacy and talking and discussing and brainstorming. That is important to have so that we know that we are meeting individual students' needs, creating a schedule of instructional and personal supports, making sure that we're including all of the voices, especially of those that are impacted the most, our students and their parents. This will help to create an authentic, inclusive setting within your school or at the district level. And then lastly, providing data snapshots. That's something I always was like, oh, I don't know, this data doesn't look that good. I don't want to share it. But if you're consistently collecting data and you are making strides to grow your program in whatever area, you should see growth. And so that makes it exciting, right? Once you see like, oh my gosh, my survey shows that I was a level 2, but now I'm at a level 5. This is something to celebrate. There's progress. This shows me my team is working. This shows me that I'm being supportive to students and to this vision and goal of having this inclusive setting within my school or district level. And then when you do that, then you're able to celebrate your successes. And I am a celebrator, and Kerry is too. Love a good party. So please reach out to us when you're like a year in or whatever, you're ready to celebrate. Let us know. We want to celebrate with you.
And so really being mindful of student-centered everything, right? Student-centered scheduling, student-centered instruction. We all will be the first ones to say our main focus is our students and our children that are in front of us. And so we want to be very mindful of the attitudes that we come in with, right? And again, like our beliefs of what students' potential is. And so being mindful that it's not our own biases that are limiting the students, right? That like we are just providing access for them, right? So we want to be responsive in our staffing. And again, we know that 2 heads are better than 1. So co-teaching is extremely supportive and successful. It's one of our best practices that we know works for these students. And so getting your staff and your faculty on board with that and getting them the support to do it well. And again, like I have shared in other videos in the series, I've been in great co-teaching relationships where we did have the supports needed to do it well. And I've been in co-teaching relationships where we did not have that support. So I've seen both sides of it. And so really making sure with our staffing that we are getting students the support that they need. And so it's not any limitation on them is not a result of staffing, right? That we're supporting all students. And so we also want to make sure that we have an inclusive decision-making approach. Trust the children, right? Trust our kids. Our kids know what's going on. They know what's up. Invite them in, right? It does not matter how young they are. They can still have their voice shared. They could still be part of the inclusive decision-making process and approach. Invite all staff members in to have a shared decision-making process. Everybody gets a say. And again, like if everybody feels that their voice is heard, you're going to increase that buy-in, right? So teachers might feel that this is just a mandate and it's pushed down on us, but if we're inviting their voices in, and if I say, hey, we're moving towards inclusion, we're going to make this happen. I don't want this a mandate on you. I want to have your, input on this. What do you feel would be in place to make this work? And then also thinking about our models of support, right? So that we're student-centered. Again, like it can't be the adults' attitudes that prevent a child from being included. That absolutely cannot happen. So how can we support the child so that they can be fully included? Um, and so being mindful of what are the in-class supports that we can offer? Is it co-teaching? Is it having a paraprofessional assigned to the student, or somebody that's just helping in the classroom? What are the external supports and the specialized supports, right? What specialists can I have that need to come into the classroom rather than having the student removed from the classroom? Are there community groups? Are there family groups? Are there outside therapies that we could be seeking? Not limiting ourselves to what supports we can seek to help these students achieve, their greatest potential, be their best selves. And so again, thinking about like why is inclusion so important? Feels like the answer should be obvious. Everybody has a right to belong. That should
Mm-hmm.
just go without saying. Everybody should have a right to belong. Everybody should be able to access a community of learning, a community of caring and support. And so, for all of the detractors that you might have, like the teachers that say that might work over there, but it can't work here, there has been no research that has shown that inclusion of students with disability labels has been detrimental. Right? None of the research supports that. The research shows that students who are fully included, both students who are labeled with disabilities and those who are non-disabled, everybody improves, right? We see students with disabilities who spend more of their school day in inclusive settings earn higher scores on tests of language ability. We have research that shows that reading goes up.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, again, the benefits of inclusion for students with disabilities go beyond academics, right? If they are fully included, they're going to be less likely to receive a disciplinary referral, more likely to belong to a school group, more likely to have competitive employment, and more likely to live independently. Being together is not a bad thing, right? It's not detrimental because, again, in an inclusive classroom, you're going to be universally designing, you're going to be differentiating for all students.
Mm-hmm.
So, all students are going to get greater access to the curriculum, to the activities. They're going to have a richer diversity of perspectives. And so, having greater access benefits everybody, right? That's the idea of the universality of universal design. So again, when you have people who are detractors saying inclusion doesn't work, it does. It does work. It is working in many, many places. So it is possible, and it is beneficial. And so the real challenge is figuring out if it's working over there, what can I do to make it work here in my context? And so that is the challenge. And again, just the research shows that it is beneficial for all students.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, bringing it back to your context, right? Thinking about it works over here, it works over there. How do we make it work here in my school, in my district? And so we have this inclusive school checklist from the fabulous Paula Cluth. And it's a great checklist that'll help you kind of go through like, where are we at? Again, getting that lay of the land and then coming up with action items for what you can be doing if the answer is no. And so being mindful of just it considers all the different factors, all the different facets of what goes into a school. Some of the questions can be, are the students being educated in classrooms with their same age peers? Are students being meaningfully included? Are they be involved in extracurricular activities? Um, and so it'll just give you a sense of where you're at and how you can move forward. And again, like we had mentioned on some of the slides, of just bringing in all the teachers, right? Let's let all the teachers do this, right? Maybe we start with the administrative team. Can all of our administrators do this? Now, can we bring it to our teachers so the teachers can get a sense of, hey, where are you? Where are we on this path towards inclusive education? And so that again can help with the buy-in because you're getting real-time concrete data of this is where we're at. And here's my mission and vision of where we're going. I need you all as a collaborative team in this district who are all caring, hardworking, dedicated educators who care for every child in the school. How do we move together? And again, delineating tasks so that it's not everything falling on one person, but that we can each take a little bit of ownership. Um, so again, we strongly recommend the survey. It'll help you get a sense of where you're at. It can help, the people who may not be on board get on board because they can see where are we, right? How do I move forward? And then collaboratively taking actions and brainstorming actions you can take on any responses that are no. So some key takeaways. Again, as we've been saying throughout the series, is that as an administrator, you have a profound role in the implementation of inclusive practices in your school. You set the tone as the leadership team. Uh, Second, the development of and engagement with a team is committed to full inclusion is necessary. This is not something that any one person can do by themselves. It is absolutely a team approach. That is the nature of inclusion. We include everybody in our plan to move forward. And again, finally, and most importantly, that inclusion benefits all students in the classroom setting and beyond their school years, right? We have to think we have these children for a year, right? If they're in the district for all of their K-12 education, right? How are we setting them up beyond life in our district? And so that is really critical for us to think about. And are we setting them up to be inclusive people beyond school?
Mhm.
So we thank you for engaging with us in this series. We offer this QR code to help you stay connected and have access to all of the fabulous resources in the Learning Resource Center network. We encourage you to connect with the LRC South in our various social media channels. And we encourage you to interact and engage with the New Jersey Department of Education on their website and through their various social media channels as well. And we thank you again for engaging with us in this video series.